to the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, August 29th. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of the fantasyfootballfanatics.com. I'm your host, Griffin Palmer, joined as always by CJ the Hitman Hickman and Jason Cabrera. What is up, guys?
Hello.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Oh, man. This show. Oh, God, I love this show.
Yeah? You love the show?
Are you taking solace on the show there, CJ?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, how can you not love the show? I mean, it's 3 a.m. basically, and we got a draft coming up. Work in about 3 hours. All for the fans.
All for the fans. It's a good time. You know, you can put work in for the website for the show.
Good times.
So, of course, you know, we have an amazing show for everybody today, besides CJ being kind of a Debbie Downer. Today, we are going to be doing a consensus mock draft. Of course, we're also going to bring you all the top headlines from around the league. Quite a few to get to. As always, please make sure you guys subscribe to the show wherever you are listening right now. You can follow the show on iTunes and Twitter and YouTube and Stitcher and all over the place. If you want to follow us on Twitter, that's at the FF Fanatics, by the way. Easiest way to get all the up-to-date information as we go from show to show. A lot of the news we're going to be diving into today, we already broke on Twitter. So, I mean, if you want that up-to-date news, ad drops and stuff, I would recommend giving us a follow over there. You can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. Of course, most important of all, if you really want to support the show and help us keep these lights on, get yourself a lot of really cool bonus perks along the way, head over to patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. A lot of great stuff over there and exciting content, including the much more advanced topics that we get into on a regular basis. Again, patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. So with that, let's move into our warm-up, which is simply, guys, how was your draft weekend? Did you guys have any other drafts other than our big League of Record draft?
Oh, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. That was your big focus?
Just that one.
You got a 7-hour draft, not like you make time for anything else.
I mean, that did eat up our Sunday, that's for sure. I purposely made it a point for all my other leagues. I was like, guys, that whole weekend I'm booked because I needed to. I was working all day, and any little bit of time I could find, I was putting into prep work for that draft at the last second. All of my IDP rankings, all my auction values, all of that. I actually didn't go to bed until, what was it, about 8 o'clock our time, and then I was up again at 10. So I was drafting on 2 hours of sleep, but I'm still pretty happy with the way my team turned out. I got all my players I was targeting on the defensive side, at least, so that was pretty nice. And
you did better than me. I actually did it that morning of the draft. Yes, I finally got everything together.
Well, I woke up early and I cooked something because we do for those of you listening, I'm sure you guys are just riveted by all this talk. But we do a big potluck type thing. All of our members of our league are required to actually be at the draft, except for Jason because he's on the opposite side of the country. We're all drafting in Maryland and he is in Arizona. So I mean, some people in the league are saying that that's kind of lazy of him, but I guess we understand. But yeah, I really like all three of our teams. Our teams are. There were people overspending like crazy in our.
Oh my God!
So
it was bad.
We had a couple new people that were new to the auction format, and we sat back and let a lot of the big names go. But I mean, obviously, this is what we do. We got amazing value later on, lots of sleepers, a lot of upside, and of course on the IDP side, I think we have easily the three best defenses in the league. So I'm excited to see the three of us back in the playoffs with some other random person, so that should be fun. Hopefully, all of you listening at home as well had a very good weekend. We got a lot of questions in on Twitter and a lot of emails. We try to answer as many as we can, but there's only so many hours in the day, unfortunately, and we have all of our drafts as well, so we're doing the best we can. If you guys submitted a question, please know that we are trying to get to them all, but it's a lot of emails, so we'll get there. But with that, let's go to move into our top headlines from around the league. Let's start with the quarterback position. A bit of breaking news late last night where Detroit Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford has officially signed a 5-year, $135 million extension. This makes him the highest paid player in NFL history. Guys, Matthew Stafford, is he deserving of being the highest paid player in NFL history? Is this just the market continuing to go the way the market goes and the next guy always sets the record and so on and so on and so forth?
It's the market. It's the market. I mean, don't get me wrong. I really like Matthew Stafford. He's a very good quarterback. He's a gunslinger, loves to throw the ball down the field. But is he the best player in the league? No, he's not. This is the market.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. It's the market, and then, I mean, he's gotten better more. I mean, I like this. I want to see his second year now with Megatron being gone and see what he had to do, because I felt like the load was really laid on him after Megatron left. So I want to see what that does, so he can be able to show that, you know, he deserves the money. I know he's had some great seasons and throwing some good things, but now it needs to convert to, you know, wins and, you know, playoff wins and stuff like that. I think that's the next step.
Yeah,
Start talking about money like this.
Yeah, I mean, a good quarterback, talented. I would say he's better than average, but I mean, yeah, this is clearly just the market. You know, every quarterback that's a household name sets the market, and so will the next guy, and so will the next guy. I mean, look at Joe Flacco. He was the highest paid player in NFL history at one point. I, as a Ravens fan, don't think he was deserving of that at all. But you know, the market's the market.
He's the
I would agree with you.
He's got to get that money.
Jeez. Okay. Anyway, so let's move on. Congratulations to Matthew Stafford, and continuing the trend of quarterbacks getting exceedingly high contracts every single year. With that, let's move on to Indianapolis, where head coach Chuck Pagano was incredibly cryptic about Andrew Luck's status going forward, being ready for Week 1, still recovering from a shoulder injury. So, I'm officially panicking now, guys.
You know.
I mean, if you actually watch this interview, he was doing everything. He wasn't even hiding the fact that he was dodging the question. Like, he was literally just saying, he was trying to say stuff like, I have not seen him throw a single pass. That's all in the trainer's room. And the people interviewing him were trying to call him out. Like, you honestly expect us to believe this? He goes, I mean, that's your job, and I'm just doing my job. And it was really bad. So, I officially... and panicking on Andrew Luck.
You concerned?
My concern levels reached an all-time high. I'm still not saying he won't play Week 1, but I'm now to the point I'd be more surprised if he did than if he didn't. So yeah, he's gonna move down my rankings appropriately, and so look for updates on the website, guys. So are you guys? I mean, I'm pretty sure you both were expecting this anyway, so you have him appropriately ranked. I was the most optimistic, I think.
Yeah, you were. And I just
You
want
were.
to say
You were.
something to everybody that was giving me crap about this.
And I mean,
Oh, I'm still gonna give you crap about it.
well,
Yeah,
you
that's
can,
tough.
and then you can still suck it, because
Yeah,
this
you
dude is
haven't-
not going to be playing,
Hey,
and he's
I
not
said
worth
3 weeks.
a top 10, and you're not going to be playing most of the season. This
Most
dude was
of
the
the
last
season?
guy.
most of the season. Where
He's
are you getting that
gonna
from?
miss most of.
No.
Jason, are you
No,
sick?
he's
Are you
not.
freaking serious? This dude
No,
hasn't been
he's
throwing.
not.
He hasn't been throwing, man. You're gonna invest a high draft pick on this dude, and you're gonna rank him high.
No,
but
he's-
he's gonna miss time with his players, dude. And they're not. And it's not like this. They just drafted an offensive line yesterday. No, they have the same crappy line they had last year with a couple new pieces, but they're still
I agree with
crap.
that.
And they have shown you these last 3 weeks that they're still crap. And you're gonna bring Andrew Luck. You're gonna rush him back out there with a 25 or maybe at most 75% shoulder out there. He's gonna get whacked again.
No,
Like, come
yeah,
on, man.
well, I agree that the offensive
far
line
as-
still leaves a lot to be desired, but none of that is accurate. They're clearly not rushing him. He has been throwing behind closed doors. We just don't know to the extent. And if he was going to be out for more than 5 or 6 weeks, they'd start him on the PUP to not eat up a roster spot. They're expecting him back at some point early in the first quarter of the season. The question is, how many games? Does he miss 1, 2, 3 games? There's no way he's missing half the season or more. That's just ludicrous.
This is a little good. All right,
Yeah.
you'll see.
I mean, look, could it happen? Sure, but will it? Probably not, because we would assume that the team is better run than that they would just appropriately tag him. You know, it's a professional franchise. Jason, what's your thought?
My thought is he's had the same bad line for a while, and he still ends up being a top quarterback
Yep.
pretty much every single year. So that is not something I'm concerned about. I would like to see that if they updated that offensive line, he'd be in the conversation for top 3 quarterback in the league. You know, but as it is, he's still going to be a top 10 quarterback. Is he going to miss most of the season? We're talking about that's 8 weeks. I can't see him missing more than 3 or 4 weeks to tops. So is he going to miss some time? Yes. Is he going to be most of the season? I highly doubt it.
No. if they thought that was going to be the case, he would be on the PUP list right now. So with that, let's go and move on to the next bit of news, where in Jacksonville, head coach Doug Marrone has named Blake Bortles the starting quarterback for Week 1. So after all this Chad Henne talk,
you know what I heard?
Huh?
You know what I heard?
What have you heard?
You know what I heard about him? I heard that he's in the best shape of his life.
Oh, geez, okay. Anyway, so, Chad Henne was given the nod, and Chad Henne went out there and did what Chad Henne does, and it's just terrible performance. And then Blake Bortles was named the starter. So there we go. Blake, he's draftable. Not really. He's streamable. But yeah, I would not invest draft capital in Blake Bortles at this point until we see something. Unless you're in a deeper league or a 2-quarterback league, there's plenty of more confident picks you can make than Blake Bortles at this point. Upside, yes, but he's definitely a low floor, high ceiling pick. Let's move on to New York with the Jets, where head coach Todd Bowles said that Josh McCown will be the starting quarterback for Week 1. So a decision finally made in New York in that quarterback competition for a team that might go winless. So not a big deal there. Let's move on to some running back news, where Kansas City Chiefs running back Spencer Ware has officially been diagnosed with a PCL tear. This will require surgery that is believed to be season-ending. So
I had nothing to do with this.
No, nothing. You weren't there at all, scheming behind the line. But if you follow us on Twitter, we broke this news a while back, and we broke this going into draft. So we were saying, hey guys, grab Kareem Hunt. He is definitely worth a pickup, because Andy Reid has even gone as far to say that he will be the, quote, featured back going forward. So if you haven't drafted yet, or Kareem Hunt is available, which if you're playing in a more casual league, he is probably available, go pick up Kareem Hunt. Do it. You will not regret this. What are your guys' thoughts?
I like it. I picked him up in our draft on Sunday.
You did.
Sure did.
Good pickup. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
All right, well, let's move on to Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell reportedly has plans to report to the team on Friday. So this falls in line with his original timetable that he kind of tweeted out with a kind of winky face. So Le'Veon Bell will be returning just in time to hopefully be in shape to start the season. So that's something. We talked about this at great length, so just quick hits. Are you guys at all concerned about Le'Veon Bell this season, reporting this late in the offseason, preseason, I should say?
No.
I mean, I expect he'll probably get hurt at some point. I mean, the guy gets hurt every year, but as far as talent-wise and efficiency, when he's healthy, no.
Yep, that's the annoying thing, that any concerns that you have, he's too talented to move him down your draft board. So Le'Veon Bell is universally going to go as a top 2 pick. Maybe if someone really is down on the fact, because like we talk about, these players, we get so many injuries this time of year because people aren't in game shape. Le'Veon Bell, he's been reportedly working out extensively. He knows what he needs to do, but I mean, he hasn't been doing obviously any type of padded contact injury drills or anything, so injuries are possible. But you're still going to draft him as a top 2, top 3 pick, so it's all academic at this point. Let's move on to Cincinnati with the Bengals, where running back Jeremy Hill was forced from the Bengals' 3rd preseason game with an ankle injury. The severity of the injury is yet to be determined. Of course, Twitter erupted with positive Joe Mixon news. So, look, we've been saying draft Joe Mixon anyway. He's probably going to work out a larger role as the season progresses. We all think he's the most talented back there. Jeremy Hill was scary as the red zone back, but now it looks like Mixon will probably get those carries as long as Hill is out. So, and maybe Jeremy Hill or Joe Mixon now solidifies his role in that offense if Jeremy Hill misses time. So, Jeremy Hill, bad. Joe Mixon, good. You guys agree?
Yes, I agree with that.
It's hard to get much more simple than that. Let's move on to...
It doesn't get much simpler.
Yeah, look, I was covered extensively. He was quite probably the most talented running back in this year's draft class. Just all the off-the-field issues what made him slip. Let's move on to Washington with the Redskins, where they are reportedly trying to trade 3rd-string running back Matt Jones. So, for starters, I want to say this is cute. Right. Because no one is going to trade with them. So what are the odds that they actually cut him? Because I doubt they're going to be able to trade him.
I mean, it's up there. I think they could trade. I mean, not trade. I think they could cut him. I mean, they have Chris Thompson there. You got Samaje Perine they just got, and then of course the starter right now, Rob Kelly. So, I mean, I don't see a scenario where they keep 4 running backs. So, I mean, he kind of is the odd man out. And when you look out there, the lay of the land of who needs running backs, I mean, the only person is Philly right now. I would say, but I don't see them trading for him, especially trying to use a draft pick.
No, I don't know if Matt Jones is worth even a conditional 7th-round pick. So I expect him to not move, and then they're gonna cut him and maybe re-sign him to the practice squad. Who knows? But I mean, Matt Jones has been productive for them in the past, but fumbling issues were a big problem for him. So we'll see. Well, this is, again, a guy that you should not be drafting in your fantasy leagues regardless. Let's move on to the wide receiver position, which got some serious hits during the weekend since we recorded last.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with the fact that in New England, wide receiver Julian Edelman completely tore his ACL, and he will miss the 2017 season. So, guys, what are your thoughts here? Because this is giving, and Tom Brady's even come out and said that he has great confidence and chemistry with Danny Amendola, who I think slides right into that role. I think his targets get dispersed. I think that obviously Gronk will benefit from some additional targets. I think Amendola and Chris Hogan get increased targets. What are you guys' thoughts here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you could definitely say Cooks could get a little bit more of a look. They're going to maybe use him more into that intermediate area. Hogan obviously is somebody that could figure in. Amendola is a question mark though, because he's had his opportunities in the past to come up big for that team, and he really has not capitalized on them. I mean, there were times when Edelman was out and he didn't do anything. There were times when Gronk was out, he didn't do anything, and he was there every now and then, but really he's just not that guy.
Well, Amendola has had a long history of being injured as well, so that's been part of the problem. But he very much fits the Julian Edelman role and build in that offense, so I think he will be that kind of plug-and-play guy, but I don't think that any one player picks up the massive amount of targets that Julian Edelman got. However, Julian Edelman also got a lot of these targets last year with Gronk being down. I mean, Gronk does intermediate to long stuff primarily, so I don't think he's going to be a main beneficiary of this, but I do think it gets dispersed pretty evenly, and Amendola will be the guy that they mostly plug into that position in the offense. CJ, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not too positive about Amendola's consistency. I mean, I do agree with you with the injuries. You do see that, but guys that I'm up on, like Jason said, Chris Hogan. I think Chris Hogan take an uptake on that. Brandon Cooks is there too. I also see them moving Rex Burkhead or Deion Lewis in the slot, and started using that too. Started using some running back scheme, or put them and utilize them, because him and Gillislee have been looking real good. Well, Gillislee hasn't. He's shown promise, but he's got hurt too. But definitely
he's been having not a great camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so I think one of those two guys.
I think that's been kind of in their plans anyway. I was expecting them to do some 2 back sets since they have multiple pass catching. Look, it's New England. Bill Belichick's going to do all types of creative stuff that nobody's expecting. So that's why I don't think any one person just picks up the slack, because Julian Edelman was that guy for this offense. So something to keep an eye on, but I'm not rushing out to pick up any one of these guys as a replacement for Julian Edelman. And also, please don't draft him. Just saying. Obviously, he won't be back. Let's move on to Chicago with the Bears, where wide receiver Cameron Meredith also tore his ACL, and he will miss the 2017 season. Problem is that he's also scheduled to undergo additional testing to determine the extent of the suspected additional structural damage to his knee. He is looking at a long recovery, the extent of which obviously is not known. Sad news for Meredith, who was looking primed to have a potential breakout year. I mean, he was the main target in an offense that was going to be playing from behind probably quite a bit. So, I mean, do we just plug in Kevin White here?
Yeah, probably. I mean, my question is, did these guys visit Baltimore or something? Did they drink the water? That's not a good idea.
Okay, that's unnecessary.
You know what? I would say this. I think Kevin. I mean, that's a deep stretch for me for Kevin White. I mean, he's shown flashes, but I need to see it in the regular season. I think some guys that go up, Victor Cruz, you got to go see what's up with him.
Yeah.
Zach Miller has been looking good. I mean, so you would say you can put him on that bubble. And then, so those are my 2 guys that I see right now that are looking good. But I got to see it in Kevin White. I mean, he's been a bust to me, to be honest.
I mean, former first-round pick. He's got to do something this year. He's
Gotta.
got the offense right in front of him again, and a role that just got increased, guaranteed. So, we'll see. I'm not necessarily, again, unless I'm in a deeper league, I'm not really rushing out to pick up any of these guys. I mean, if you haven't drafted yet, maybe a late-round flyer on, I don't know, who would be the one you go after? I would honestly probably lean Victor Cruz as the higher floor, but, I mean, Kevin White definitely has the higher ceiling potential.
Yeah,
With this offense, I'd probably go with the floor.
Yeah, I would go Cruz. I mean, I know I've seen it with Cruz. I know what he can do. Kevin White, no, I don't want no parts of him.
Do you think Jeremy Langford gets on the field more in 2-back sets here? Because obviously much more of a pass-catching back.
He could.
You could. All right. I'm not drafting Jeremy Langford. At least I wasn't. Jordan Howard, I was already fading in drafts. But, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Let's move on to New York with the Giants, where head coach Ben McAdoo says he is, quote, hopeful that wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. will be ready for week 1, coming back from his ankle injury. Could be awesome news. Does this we were afraid of a high ankle sprain, maybe costing him 2-3 weeks. If it's looking like he's going to be back week 1, does he slide right back into your wide receiver 2 or 3 in your drafts?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't think of a good reason why he wouldn't. I mean, the upside alone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why he's universally a top 3 wide receiver, and if he's missing no time or maybe 1 game, I mean, I always expect, for the most part, I factor in players probably missing a game somewhere or being hobbled, affecting them over the course of a couple games. So, I would slide Odell Beckham Jr. right back in. In fact, with the assumption he was only missing 1 to 2 games, I honestly hadn't even moved him down my rankings because the upside's just too high, and I know the floor in that offense. So, good news. Yep. But also in New York, we found out that wide receiver Brandon Marshall has also resumed practice on yesterday, coming back from his shoulder injury. So that's good news there. If you are somebody who went late-round quarterback like I did on Eli Manning, all the weapons look like they might actually be in place. So that's exciting. Let's move on. Last bit of wide receiver news. The Miami Herald's Barry Jackson. I can talk. He reported that Miami has not told wide receiver Jarvis Landry's representation, oh my God, I can't talk. The Miami Herald's Barry Jackson reported that Miami Dolphins told wide receiver Jarvis Landry's representation that, quote, there is no truth whatsoever, end quote, to the reports that they are trying to trade him. I did it. All right, so, we heard all these reports saying that he was heavily being sought after to be traded away. He was on the trading block, all this, that, the other, and now we're hearing something completely contrary to that, and honestly, this is more what I would be expecting. I can't think of a good reason why they would try and trade Jarvis Landry right now. Is this what you guys were kind of more in line with, expecting that they were not trying to move him?
I was hoping.
I would have been shocked, honestly, if they had traded him.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense to move their number 1 receiver over the last couple of years. Definitely their highest volume receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about early in the offseason, where they're saying that, they're not taking up his 5th-year option. They're not trying to really build their team around a slot receiver. He is their most productive receiver, but he is a slot guy. So when we were talking about guys getting the contracts, this is a guy that's most likely going to be seeking a contract elsewhere.
This is why I've been rising on Devontae Parker, though, because, I mean, Jay Cutler likes his big, deep threats, and so I have faded Jarvis Landry a bit in my rankings and raised Devontae Parker. In fact, I spent a little bit higher than I would have liked to have on Parker in our Big League of Record auction draft. But, he has a lot of upside there. But, again, it's not a guy that I'm moving on early. It's not a guy I'm spending probably double digits on in an auction draft. So just putting that out there, put some perspective on it. Higher ceiling, though, with Keltner than with Tannehill, which is something we've covered in the past as well.
Yeah.
So with that, let's move into our topic of the day, which is a standard consensus mock draft. Now, we randomized our number here, but honestly, we got the one that I was hoping for. We are drafting out of the number 5 spot. Now, this is completely standard. This is your 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, 1 tight end, kicker defense, 6 bench. This is we went standard, so this is completely standard scoring as well. So we have the 5th pick, which is where it gets kind of dicey, because Ezekiel Elliott, he has fallen out of favor. And of course, we have to now contemplate a injured Odell Beckham Jr., or to me, it falls to LaShawn McCoy. So I'm interested to see where you guys lean here. So I'll throw it to you guys.
Well, given the given the sheer volume that's probably going to go to LaShawn McCoy this year, I'm tempted to lean toward McCoy. My only thing is that Odell Beckham Jr. is my number two guy, and number two receiver. Excuse me.
He's my number three. I agree.
Right. So it's hard to kind of bypass that. I'm kind of leaning toward Odell Beckham. What do you think, CJ?
Yeah, I'm like that too. If we're agreeing with the stuff that we just said earlier when talking about his injury, that it's probably not going to be that serious, that he's going to be out there or miss a game at most, I would say, yeah, still Odell Beckham for me. I mean, he's the number two guy on our boards. I think, yeah, that's the best approach.
So for me, we're looking at the number 3 wide receiver and the number 3 running back on my board. But again, this is where my tier-based concept comes into play, because we're looking at a top tier wide receiver, but a second tier running back for me. So I also lean Odell Beckham Jr. here with the assumption he doesn't miss time. It's hard to argue LaShawn McCoy because, I mean, position scarcity alone makes you want to lean running back. But, I mean, look, it's Odell Beckham. He's going to be productive. So we're going to put him on our team. So, to obviously catch you guys up, if you hadn't figured, the top 2 running backs and top 2 wide receivers were already gone. David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown, Julio Jones. So we got Odell Beckham. LaShawn McCoy went with the next pick. So, I mean, there was our debate right there. Mike Evans, Devonta Freeman, Melvin Gordon, A.J. Green, DeMarco Murray, and Michael Thomas round out the first. In the top of the second, we see Jordan Howard, Jay Ajayi, Jordy Nelson, Ezekiel Elliott went in with, the 4th pick of the second. Does that seem high to you guys?
High. Way high to me. This suspension thing is scary. This suspension, I'm sorry. It's scary. It's scary, man. I mean, look, because I've been through this. So I know a part of me is thinking, look, Jerry's World could probably get out of it, man. But another part of me is like, hey, man, this might come back to haunt you if you draft this dude early, where you're going to be seeing this dude get smacked with a suspension. Either he goes and get those first 6 games, or it happens in the middle of the season. And then if you don't draft properly, you're going to be out of luck, because now you're hurting at a position because you drafted him higher than you waiting, like we suggested, maybe 5th or 6th round, where you probably get him at appropriate value at the appropriate time. And then you be good because you already have 2 running backs to take up that spot until he gets back, when you find out what's going on with the suspension.
True, but I mean that's obviously in a perfect world, but there's a 0% chance he falls out of the 3rd round. I'm very commonly see him going in the back of the 2nd, but this is going in the top half of the 2nd. That's rich for me. This is optimistic that he's going to be having that suspension suspended. So, okay, Ezekiel Elliott, 4th pick of the 2nd. Hey. So then Aaron Rodgers in the middle of the 2nd as well. That's way too high for a quarterback for me, even if it is Aaron Rodgers. You guys are much more pro quarterback than I am. Is that too high for you guys?
No, he's elite. Yep.
But is that too high?
Well, I mean, it depends on the person. I mean, for me, I mean, if you take like a Jason approach and you just go get your quarterback, then I mean, hey, it's your own. I mean, me, that's number 1 though.
Yeah, even for me though, 2nd round's a bit high, man. I'll be looking for him in the 3rd round. I'd be okay taking him in the 3rd, but not in the 2nd.
Yeah, it's way too high for a quarterback. That's ridiculous. And then it was Dez Bryant, Brandon Cook. So here we are back on the board in the 2nd round. We went wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr. So to me, we have to go running back. And I think the obvious choice is staring us right in the face. We have Todd Gurley. If not Todd Gurley, maybe we get a little creative when we go Rob Gronkowski. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm not. No, I don't like Todd Gurley in this position. I'd be more apt to look at somebody like Marshawn Lynch. He's my number 3 guy on my board. I know you guys aren't as high on him as I am, but that's where if it was me drafting by myself, that's what I'd look at right now is Marshawn Lynch.
I am very high on Marshawn, but I mean, I feel like we might be able to get him in the 3rd, and I mean, we haven't seen him really play that much yet. I mean, look, we all think he's going to be good. He's got a great offensive line to run behind. I don't know, CJ, what are your thoughts?
I mean, look, I like Marshawn Lynch, the dude, the guy, but I'm just remembering 2 years ago, this dude was calling a tailing off. And then when I'm hearing reports, when reporters ask him, how much you missed the game, what's going on, nothing. Did you miss football? No. I'm like, okay, that's very inspiring to know what's going on. So I mean, at this spot right here, I actually will go with Todd Gurley. I know we haven't seen that much in this preseason, but I believe in Sean McVay that he's gonna right the ship and get this guy going and create space for him. So I like Todd Gurley. I like recently better, like in the last 3 years, I like Todd Gurley more than what I've seen at Marshawn Lynch the last 3 years.
It basically boils
I've
down.
raised-
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I've raised Gurley in my rankings, but I still, as the number 2, as our second pick, I don't trust him that much.
Well, it basically boils down to do we take the known commodity who, like CJ just ranted on about, he took a year off, who knows how he's going to play. We're hearing good things, but we haven't seen him in a live game yet. Or do we take the third-year player who had an incredibly down year last year, obviously in a much better situation this year, though, much better-minded offensive coordinator and head coach. In our consensus rankings, if we want to go solely on that, we do have Marshawn Lynch ranked higher. Should that be the tiebreaker here, or since we're all kind of torn? Do you want to do that? Go with our rankings, or we want to go with Gurley here?
I thought you guys were going to go Marshawn. Both of you guys say you like him.
Oh, well, we can do that. I mean, I think he might be
I'm
there for us
solid,
later.
I'm solidly Marshawn Lynch.
Well, I mean, obviously you are. You're ridiculously high on him, but I mean, no, justifiably so. Fine. You know what? Screw it. Let's take him. Let's see how this league plays out. So
Wait. I'm justifiably ridiculously high on him. Okay.
It is incredibly high risk in the second round, is my point. Can he return on that value
I don't know about
easily?
that.
But I think it's high risk. Lamar Miller, Todd Gurley, Rob Gronkowski, and T.Y. Hilton end the round.
Dang it.
What were you danging?
Dang it. I was hoping Isaiah Crowell would come back around, but he's gone.
He ain't going to make it, bro.
Nope.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette, Amari Cooper,
He's
Isaiah
top
Crowell, and Doug Baldwin are who's gone in the third. We are back on the board. We have one wide receiver, one running back, and we can go in either direction here. What are you guys thinking?
I'm thinking, third round, is it too high to go Kareem Hunt there?
Yes.
It's
I think so.
It's
That's
too high?
way too high.
A little bit too high.
With the news
Okay.
just breaking, he will be there
I mean,
considerably later.
If we're gonna look at rookie right here, I would be more apt to look at Joe Mixon, who's still on the board as well.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
What's that?
Obviously, I'm not going to disagree with that. I see Joe Mixon there. I see Dalvin Cook there. I mean, I can understand both of you guys with Dalvin Cook with Latavius Murray being there, but Dalvin Cook has been looking good with the first team.
It's true. Also, if you look down in wide receivers, we also got Terrell Pryor and Allen Robinson are there.
Yeah.
Well,
I know how you feel about Allen Robinson, CJ.
Yeah, I don't want to parse of that.
Big fan over there. I counter that out by being an actual big fan.
Big fan.
I'll take Terrell Pryor here if you guys are going that way.
If we're torn, and of course we're doing this off the top, we don't have all of our rankings necessarily in front of us to be strictly going off of. Position scarcity alone makes me want to lean running back here. So, I mean, if you guys want to go running back, I would say Joe Mixon out of the guys that we're talking about, especially with Jeremy Hill being down potentially. He has... I like him the most because I'm not a believer in Ty Montgomery. Dalvin Cook still needs to separate himself. We all think Carlos Hyde is going to be in a committee at best. Christian McCaffrey is in a committee, and that leaves Joe Mixon. So I could go Mixon if you guys want to.
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I say Mixon.
Joe Mixon.
All right, let's round out our starting running backs. We have Marshawn Lynch and Joe Mixon. And, now Dalvin Cook did go next. Then it was Tom Brady, second quarterback in the middle of the third. Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce gone. So there goes another tight end. We have Ty Montgomery, Demaryius Thomas at the end of the third. Top of the fourth, Carlos Hyde went. Keenan Allen, Drew Brees, Terrell Pryor's gone, Devontae Adams, C.J. Anderson, and Sammy Watkins. So I am going to highly recommend wide receiver here. What are your guys' thoughts? Where should we be looking?
Well,
who's higher up on our consensus right now?
I like Tyreek Hill. Crabtree's there as well. Looking back up at running backs, I mean, Amir Abdullah's there, Kareem Hunt's there.
I think Griffin wants to wait him around for Kareem Hunt.
Yeah,
he won't be there though. If we want him, we'd have to.
He'll
take
be
him
gone.
on.
Yeah, he'll be
Man,
gone.
He
we
won't
got-
make it to
we
the
got-
fifth.
I mean, that's a nice flex piece right there, though. To be honest.
Could be. There's also plenty of other guys we can probably get later.
Yeah.
And we could get our, second starting wide receiver here. So, I mean, we could go either way. I think in our consensus rankings, Tyreek Hill is the highest, but he's very
That's where I was
closely grouped
thinking.
together with Michael Crabtree and Allen Robinson. I believe that I am the highest on Allen Robinson out of the group of these guys, though I've been cooling on him with the Blake Bortles news. So, I mean, I'd be comfortable probably going with any one of these guys. Tyreek Hill scares me because I don't think his pace was sustainable from last year. Allen Robinson only
Yeah, but he's
scares me
still a
because of
number
Blake.
one receiver.
On the team. We'll see if it
Griffin.
turns out that way for fantasy. And Michael
That's
Crabtree,
what- I mean,
of course,
that's what
we
I
all
mean.
like.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's the top target on that team. I would be comfortable with Allen Robinson, Michael Crabtree, or Tyreek Hill. One of those three guys.
I would be comfortable with Tyreek Hill, Crabtree, and never Allen Robinson.
You're
So
just
Allen Robinson, got it.
you're just not a big fan.
Not
not a
that
fan of
quarterback.
Allen.
I don't want nothing to do with that quarterback.
Ooh, Allen Robinson is
Actually,
actually
Robinson's rated higher.
Allen Robinson's our consensus higher guy. You actually have Allen Robinson ranked higher than Tyreek Hill in our consensus rankings there, CJ.
That's a typo.
I don't believe it is.
This computer has been failing me all day. This is a typo.
You know what? Based on all this new evidence, I think we have to go
Ugh.
Allen Robinson.
This is disgusting. Don't do this.
Jason, where would you like to go? I mean, in our consensus rankings, you have Tyreek Hill the highest. We are consensus Allen Robinson the highest. I have Allen Robinson the highest, so I'll stick to my rankings and go with Allen Robinson. CJ, you want to go where?
Tyreek Hill.
And Jason, you want to go? CJ, if
Allen Robinson.
if Tyreek Hill is your highest out of the three, why is he not reflected like that in your rankings?
I told you, man. It's a typo, man. This computer. It's not
Okay,
good.
you should probably fix
You
that
did that
for
weeks ago.
all. I know,
It
right?
has, it has not been good.
That your computer does not make typos. You make typos.
It does make typos,
No.
man. I have to physically type on it, and it'll make
Ghosts in
some
the
errors.
machine. Ghosts in the machine.
Wow.
Hey, Allen Robinson's there, or not Allen Robinson. Excuse me, Crabtree's there now in the fifth.
Ooh, I like that. So anyway, we did draft Allen Robinson. Amir Abdullah went next. Alshon Jeffrey. Tyreek Hill is gone. Matt Ryan at the end of the fourth. Top of the fifth, Jarvis Landry. Doug Martin went. That kind of surprised me. Bilal Powell. And right before us, Kareem Hunt did go.
Kareem Hunt, man.
You gamble, you play with fire. That happens.
Yep.
I'm honestly surprised he made it that far. But again, people are still rising on him. So we have two of each. Where do you guys want to go here? I know I personally
Crabtree.
am not looking tight ends or quarterbacks at all. You want to go Crabtree? I'd be okay with Crabtree, especially looking at the
Crabtree.
tier of running backs. I want very little to do with Mark Ingram. Mike Gillislee's been crap. Tevin Coleman is a backup. Frank Gore has been bad. Adrian Peterson is in a timeshare. I could easily wait on running back. So Crabtree.
Crabtree.
Unanimous
Crabtree.
Crabtree. Michael Crabtree is in our flex position. I like this team
like it.
already. Greg Olsen went with the next pick. Jordan Reed. Mark Ingram did go. Jimmy Graham. Oh, that's sad. Frank Gore, Russell Wilson, and Mike Gillislee at the end of the fifth. Top of the sixth, we have Jameis Winston. That seems high. Golden Tate.
Nope.
Kyle Rudolph. Tevin Coleman. Kevin Benjamin. Delaney Walker, and Rob Kelly are gone. So here we are in the sixth round. Technically, it's the back of the sixth. What are your thoughts?
This is about where I start looking at tight ends, and both the tight ends I wanted are gone now. I'm ticked off. Dang it. I end up with crap at the tight end position.
There's so many good late round tight ends still. Actually, one that I have very much risen on is available.
Your estimation of what a good tight end is and my estimation on what a good tight end is completely different.
That's fine. We'll see how it all plays out at the end
He
of the
got
year.
me 3 points. He's great.
Yeah,
I enjoy him.
I would never be excited about 3 points. Let's be real here.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, okay, if you guys, I'm sure you're going to outvote me. So if we do want to go tight end, my pick right here would be Zach Ertz with Jordan Matthews being gone. But, I mean, we could also look at a number of running backs, plenty of upside. Still a lot of really good wide receivers available, too. We'd be doing some really serious bench work there, which would be awesome for the season. I don't know. What do you guys want to do? What's your thoughts? You guys have very different draft philosophies than I do.
I kind of feel like we need a running back right now.
Who would you like?
I mean, you could take. If you look at running back. I mean, I was actually agreeing with Griffin right there. Probably pick up Zach Ertz. He's probably not going to be there after this.
You don't think he'll be
after
there in
this.
the next round?
No, he's going after this.
This
thing.
is our long. No, this is our short turn. So
Our short
possible, but I mean, unlikely. Let's see how many tight ends have gone. We have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tight ends gone. So
Wow.
yeah, there's still a number of teams.
That's a lot of tight ends in the first 6 rounds. That's
Oh,
nuts.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think he's going to be there.
That's ludicrous
But,
to me, but that tells me that there's still 4 or 5 teams that need a tight end besides us. So yeah, he probably won't be there.
But if we want to push it and try to go deeper down there and get some upside guys or take a shot at somebody, then when I look at the running back position, I mean, you got to take a shot on probably Paul Perkins. I mean, he was decent this past game against the Jets. He needed to show it because those that drafted him early, they needed to know that, oh man, I pray that I didn't make a mistake drafting you early.
I think volume alone, Paul Perkins could be good. We could take a shot on Adrian Peterson. I mean,
He has
greatest at his position. The situation he's in with New Orleans, we don't really know what to expect. But what are you thinking, Griffin?
I think that if we're looking at a running back in the 6th round, the fact that if we could get a number 1 workhorse running back, even if he has not had the best camp, Paul Perkins, on volume alone, he should be the option here. Adrian Peterson has a lot of upside in goal line work. Danny Woodhead's banged up. Terrence West is in a committee. And LeGarrette Blount might not make the team, and that's the kind of group that we're looking at right now. So I could go Paul Perkins. I think it would be smart of us to get some running back depth before it really dries up and we're looking at upside plays, rookies, things of that nature. So Paul Perkins, unanimous?
I'm with it. If we go, I'm with it.
Jason?
Yeah, Paul Perkins. I'm good with it.
All right, Paul Perkins it is. He is on our team. After him, Kirk Cousins, Andrew Luck in the late 6th. All right, I like it. Adrian Peterson and Tyler Eifert did go. And then it was Derrick Henry, Derek Carr. Sorry, that threw me for some reason. Different spellings of Derek. I don't know why. Jamison Crowder and Martavis Bryant. And look who's still there in the 7th round.
Nah.
I mean, I wait on tight end,
You know
but
what?
that's hard to argue.
Yeah.
I would rather go with Larry Fitzgerald if it was me.
Shocking.
No.
Shocking.
In the 7th round, come on, top receiver on a high-powered offense. Yeah, I would definitely go with that.
Bye, Felicia.
Well, I mean, as
really,
we all
Zach
know,
Ertz. Come on,
Yeah.
we don't play the entire league in December, so why would we go to Zach Ertz?
At least my guy is young enough to finish the whole season.
Ooh, T-Burn.
Yeah, except he doesn't start the season. He only finishes.
His
He only plays
opportunity
in December.
is insane
He's
this
asleep
season.
in September. He's asleep in October, November. Wakes up in December.
How long are your guys gonna last? 4 weeks maybe tops?
He has played pretty much every game, pretty much every year.
Yeah. Well, I'm siding with the Larry Fitzgerald pick just because I am a believer in late round tight ends, so that will be the tiebreaker. Moving on, Cam Newton, LeGarrette Blount, Stephon Diggs, Marcus Mariota, Jonathan Stewart, Emmanuel Sanders, and Willie Snead are gone. Top of the 8th, Zach Ertz did go. Brandon Marshall, Terrence West, Deshaun Jackson, Randall Cobb, the Chiefs defense. Wow, 8th round for a defense. That's just stupid. And Devontae Parker are gone. All right, we have.
Just because of Devontae Parker.
I mean, I was kind of hoping we'd be able to get him in double digits, but he's rising. So with that, we have 4 wide receivers. We have 3 running backs. We are in the 8th. Where would you guys like to go here?
What do you think, CJ?
What we're looking at here? What are wide receivers looking like?
Ours, we have Odell Beckham, Allen Robinson, and Michael Crabtree, and Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, well, we need to start looking at some running backs, some depth.
I like Eddie Lacy here.
you guys in this Eddie Lacy.
No. Let me interject right here. I'm officially cooling on Eddie Lacy. I don't think he's not going to be
doing that like 4 weeks ago.
Well, no, it's not. I still have full faith that he will be more productive than Thomas Rawls. But I mean, he's been, by a lot of reports, especially as of late, having a rough camp. Thomas Rawls knows the offense. I think this will be much more of a committee than anything. I don't think anyone really emerges as the lead back, at least to start the season. So I have definitely cooled on Eddie Lacy a bit.
Highly doubtful about that.
Just everything I've seen and the tape that I've seen is pointing towards that. I'm not saying that I wouldn't take Eddie Lacy over Thomas Rawls. I still would, but I'm just saying that I've officially started to cool on him a little bit.
But if we're looking at the running backs that are on the board here, who would you go with over Eddie Lacy?
At this point of the draft,
Danny Woodhead. I mean, Theo Riddick, Matt Forte, Darren McFadden, Duke Johnson. These guys are all.
Man, you got to go McFadden. I would say McFadden just because of the situation, and you got to at least with that suspension there. If it's not the first 6 games, at least later on the season, you got a basically a starter that's in a great position behind still top 5 offensive line.
Unless he appeals it and he tries to take it to court, and then the whole thing gets suspended probably until the end of the season. So Darren McFadden could be a wasted pick in the 8th. That's just the uncertainty. So though I get what you're saying, CJ.
You're honestly, also looking at a guy. You're also looking at a guy that, like you said, is going to start some of the season, and then some of the season for a fact he's not going to start. Whereas Eddie Lacy is going to start probably the whole season. No,
the point I'm trying to make is that for all we know, Ezekiel Elliott might play the whole season, because if he tries to take this to court, then the most likely, like what happened to Tom Brady, they'll suspend the suspension and deal with it in the offseason. So, I mean, there's a real chance that we could be burning an 8th-round pick on a guy that won't see the field. That's my concern, which is why, personally, I'm just staying away from the Dallas backfield altogether because there's just so much uncertainty. If you guys want to go that way, I mean, you could easily, if Darren McFadden does get you 6 games, I mean, that he's been very productive behind that line before. We could do it, but I mean, I'm looking at guys way down the line, like Rex Burkhead. He could be the starter in New England. Jamal Williams is there. There's plenty of guys that we like that will be around in a couple rounds later, because we already have some quality starters with Marshawn Lynch, Joe Mixon, and Paul Perkins. Which, I mean, it's not necessarily quality, but it's quantity. So I don't know. That's my counterpoint. What? All right. So your vote is Eddie Lacy. Where would I go otherwise?
Where would you go otherwise?
In the 8th round, let's see. We have 4 wide receivers. If I'm just looking side by side, the talent that's out there, I might go and pick up another wide receiver that I like a lot. I'm high on Tyrell Williams, because we can put them in the flex. Eric Decker has a lot of upside. Let's see. Dante Moncrief, I'm cooling on. Pierre Garçon's a lot of volume, but I know you guys don't want him. Adam Thielen is there. I have a feeling we might be able to get him next round, but he is there. John Brown is there. I like the...
He'll be there next...
John Brown will probably be there. I like all these guys better than the tier of running backs that are here, because, again, Woodhead is injured. Lacy is in a confusing committee. We can grab him, because, by the end of the season, he could be, a clear-cut starter like we were all expecting to be the case.
I think he's going to start the season as the clear-cut starter. I don't think any of the stuff. I think the stuff you're hearing out of camp is just talk.
It's entirely possible, but that's I throw a lot of that out the window as well. But I'm talking about like what I've seen in the preseason as well. But I mean, if we want to go with the upside of Lacy, we can. I don't have a problem with it. Matt Forte, I want nothing to do with. Theo Riddick is, a pass-catching back behind Amir Abdullah. He's not worth picking up. Darren McFadden's a confusing situation. Duke Johnson is the same as Theo Riddick as far as I'm concerned. Then we get to Thomas Rawls. So out of all these guys, Eddie Lacy has the highest ceiling. So we could do that and get a 4th running back. I'm completely fine with that. CJ, what's your thought?
Is it?
Well, I'm not all Eddie Lacy. I haven't been.
Obviously,
if you want something with the Seattle's backfield, I will go with Thomas Rawls there. I think that that's a solid. For me, that's a solid pick because I believe in what I've been seeing. I like what I've been seeing with Eddie Lacy there. If not that, then I would go with Rex Burkhead just because I believe in the potential, and the different options that he will be able to present for Bill Belichick that he can be able to get in slot and out of the backfield.
I'm pretty confident we could get Rex Burkhead here. We're in the 8th. I'm pretty sure we could get him in double-digit rounds, though. So, Jason, your vote is Lacy.
I don't want Eddie Lacy here. I just don't want him.
I know. So, Jason, you want Lacy. CJ, you want Rawls. And this is kind of the confusing thing that everyone has to go through. Based on our consensus rankings, I'm going to vote Eddie Lacy because that's just where we have him as a consensus, so we can move on because we're wasting too much time. But, I mean, this is a valid argument, which we probably won't have a real answer to until the season starts, so we'll see how it plays out. Dante Moncrief went next, then there's Pierre Garçon, Eric Decker, and Jeremy Macklin. Top of the 9th, Danny Woodhead, Darren McFadden did go, Rashard Matthews, and Jordan Matthews. So, all right, so we officially have 4 at each position. We are in the 9th round. Where would you guys like to look here? We're in the same situation at running back, so as far as I'm concerned, we can easily wait. Some of the wide receivers that we'd like are still available, but I also know you guys are probably both itching to grab a quarterback or a tight end, knowing you guys. So what are your thoughts here? I'll throw it to you first, CJ, since you didn't get your guy last round.
Hunter Henry, tight end.
You want to go for a tight end in a committee?
No, he's going to be the guy.
I doubt it.
Not as long as Antonio Gates is there.
Antonio Gates will be in only probably in red zone snaps, but he will vulture many a touchdown, most likely. So that's concerning. I love Hunter Henry. I do. In 2018, he will be high on probably everyone's draft boards, but this year, I just can't get there with all the other pass catchers that there are there. I think he's being massively overdrafted. If Antonio Gates goes down and so does another one or two of those receivers, yeah, awesome. But that's you can't predict injuries. So Hunter Henry, what are your thoughts, Jason?
Well, I'm looking at 2 areas here. I'm looking at either Phillip Rivers, or I was looking down here at John Brown, or one of these other receivers. I just how I am about John Brown. I mean, he's ridiculously upsided, but I can understand if you guys are going to be a little bit shy about John Brown given the history.
Oh, the sickle cell trait and all the injuries and the soft tissue injuries that are associated with that. I mean, I've been reading. Go ahead.
His last game, he caught 2 touchdown passes, and he looked ridiculously good. So, I mean...
No, I agree. He looked phenomenal. But, I mean, I personally, because of all this that's going on, I've actually been researching the sickle cell trait, and it talks about how incredibly susceptible they are to soft tissue injuries and lower body stuff with this illness. So John Brown, his floor to me just keeps lowering, though his ceiling is not budging. He's just becoming an incredibly scary boom bust player to me. We've talked about this extensively. I love John Brown, but it's just a risky pick. I mean, I could get behind it in the 9th round. We're basically looking for upside here, which he has. But I mean, we also have plenty of other upside from players that might have a higher floor, like Adam Thielen. Tyrell Williams could have a lot of upside, especially with Mike Williams not being playing until October in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Like I said, running back, I'm not even looking there. So to me, the pick is at wide receiver. CJ, are you locked into Hunter Henry, or could you be swayed to look at a wide receiver?
I'm okay with Adam Thielen here.
You want Adam Thielen? Jason, you want John Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Phillip Rivers.
What are your thoughts on Phillip Rivers, CJ?
I mean, I like him. He's one of his hires. I think he's right now the quarterback's there. I know he's higher on my board as far as my rankings. I mean, if you guys want to go quarterback here, I'm fine with that too. Either way, I'm cool.
Is there somebody you have to have, CJ?
At this position, no. Not nobody I have to have.
I'm trying to find
somebody you have to have.
You know me. I don't have to have a tight end or a quarterback here, but I could understand getting one.
You miss Adam Thielen. Go up more.
I was gonna say
46. 46.
All right. So Adam Thielen, I believe, is our highest rated consensus guy. I'm trying to find John Brown in our consensus rankings. John
should be pretty high because remember I had him rated pretty high.
That's true. Oh yeah, John Brown is by 24. Far our highest, but that's mostly because of you.
Yep.
It is late round. Like I said, we're looking for upside. We could go John Brown here. Wouldn't kill me. So okay, let's put it this way. So Phillip Rivers or John Brown. You guys like to take quarterbacks way earlier than I do. If those are the 2 picks, which way do you lean?
I can go John Brown. I see other quarterbacks that I could go with right now.
Jason?
I agree. John Brown.
All right, then John Brown it is. This is the beauty of consensus rankings. We don't spend 2.5 hours arguing over one thing. All right.
Oh, we still do that.
I mean, we could make it happen. So Thomas Rawls went with the next pick. Matt Forte, Chris Hogan, Theo Riddick, Marlon Mack, Tyra Williams did go. That's kind of sad to me. CJ Procise, top of the 10th. Martellus Bennett,
me.
Adam Thielen is gone. Kenny Britt, Broncos defense, Mike Wallace, Samaje P. Ryan, and Ted Ginn Jr. So we have 2 bench spots left to fill. We still need a quarterback, a tight end, a defense, a kicker. We are officially into the double-digit rounds. We have 6 picks to go, I believe it is. So for you guys, where would you like to go? In double digits, I start even loosening up on my tight ends and quarterback restrictions, though there's still a lot of guys that I like. So if we're looking at running backs, some of those guys that we were talking about before are starting to creep up a little bit. I'd be starting to be itching to pull the trigger on 1 or 2 of them. I think we are probably pretty good at wide receiver because we have 5 of them already, and this is just a 2 wide receiver flex league. So though there are wide receivers I like, I think we're set there. So to me, I'd probably be looking running back, though you could sway me to quarterback or tight end. What are your guys' thoughts? Where are you looking?
I like some of the running backs that are down the board, like Jamal Williams and Joe Williams. I think we can get them on the turn.
This is our quick turn.
This is our quick turn. I'd be more apt to look at somebody like Phillip Rivers again. He's still there, luckily. Tight ends, I'm just not sold on Hunter Henry, CJ. I'm sorry. It's just the committee. The fact that Antonio Gates is there. If Gates wasn't there, I completely agree with you. The Hunter Henry's the pick here. But with Gates there, vulturing all those touchdowns, I'd be more apt to look at somebody like I'd be willing to wait for Julius Thomas. I'm high on him. Or I know what you're going to say, CJ, but I like Eric Ebron.
Yay! Look, and this is where one of the points we made on Friday's show, paying attention to your league. 11 of the 12 teams have drafted a quarterback. So in theory, we should be safe to wait on quarterback a little while longer. Phillip Rivers is a guy that all 3 of us like. In early drafts that we've done, all 3 of us have grabbed him, so we could grab him here. He could easily also be there later. There's a lot of tight ends that I still like. Running backs are pretty far down the board. I expect most of them to be here. So really, I could go in any direction. I think Phillip Rivers is maybe he's the closest in these, if you look at the overall rankings to being taken, being that it's a mock draft, I think he's more likely to go, but I think there's also a good chance he returns. So, CJ, final answer. Who are you looking at here? Who is the guy you've got to have in the 10th round? We got to start wrapping this up.
There's no people I got to have. I mean, I've kind of checked out on this draft, like 3rd round. But I would go with...
Oh, great.
I would go Phillip Rivers here.
Phillip Rivers, all
right.
right.
I agree. Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's 2 votes, and like I said, I could be swayed. So Phillip Rivers, a guy we all like, way too many targets to not produce this year. All right, he's gone. Duke Johnson, Jaquiz Rogers, Corey Coleman, Corey Davis. What is up with all these back-to-back names this draft? What? Oh, no.
I knew it.
How did that happen? He was like the 8th or 9th running back.
I invoked his name, and yet no one would listen.
I hate everything right now. Top of the 11th, 3 guys that we were all talking about. Hunter Henry, gone. Jamal Williams, gone. Eric Ebron, gone. And then Sterling Shepard. How did that happen? All right, so
I'm so mad.
I'm pretty upset about that myself. So, all right, so now we're sitting in the 11th round. And so, guys, we have our quarterback. I think we're set at wide receiver. We have 2 bench spots left. So I think we're looking at running back and tight end here. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, look at the running back position. Another guy that has been talked about a lot. And if you want to talk about this Philadelphia backfield, you're not a believer in LeGarrette Blount. I would say Wendell Smallwood. He's been looking good, in and out of cuts, it's going up the middle, going on the outside, catching the ball. He's got some explosiveness. I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be using him a lot more versus LeGarrette Blount. Like I said, LeGarrette Blount is going to be that red zone guy, and I think he's going to do damage there. But when it comes to, the the midfield and working in and out, I think Wendell Smallwood would be that guy. So when I look at that, Wendell Smallwood stands out, and then the other Williams kid from San Francisco stands out to me.
Joe Williams.
Yeah.
A lot of upside there.
Please. Yeah. I mean, I think Joe Williams would be there. Burkhead's there, yeah. The only problem with Burkhead, I like Burkhead, and I like him in that offense. The problem is, it's just so many running backs that it's almost a crapshoot on whether or not he will end up being the guy.
Yeah, but I like Rex Burkhead, even if Mike Gillislee's there as the second running back in that offense in standard and PPR. And from everything we're hearing, Rex Burkhead's having a great camp, and Gillislee's having a bad one. We all know that Belichick's going to ride the hot hand. And Belichick, if you really look back at the stats over the last couple of years, yes, he has this prestige of always having this big committee, but he's always seeming to try and find that lead back. So, I mean, I could easily go Rex Burkhead here, and then on the turn we could pick up Joe Williams and just lock up our running back position, grab our tight end, kicker, defense, and be out of here. That's probably the approach I would use. Is that acceptable to you guys? Do you think that's a good strategy?
I'm with that.
Jason?
All right, I'll go along.
All right.
Yeah, I'll go along.
So Rex Burkhead is on our team. It's an upside pick, but, I mean, it's a high ceiling move. O.J. Howard went next. Marvin Jones, Cole Beasley, Zay Jones, James White, Robbie Anderson, and the Houston Texans defense. At the top of the 12th, we have Darren Sproles, Jack Doyle, Chris Carson, Jason Witten, Jared Cook, Latavius Murray, and Jamal Charles. So go ahead and grab Joe Williams, I assume?
Joe
That's
Williams,
what we talked about?
Yep.
Joe, so we're drafting a number of incredibly high upside running backs on our bench. So yeah, we definitely have a floor problem here. But if we hit on just one of those guys with our starters, we're set. All right, and so here we are in the 13th round. I'm looking tight end. I assume you are as well. Julius Thomas is the clear-cut choice for me.
Yeah, me too.
He's surrounded by Austin Hooper, CJ Fedorowicz, and Antonio Gates. I think that's not even a competition.
I mean, I'd be okay with Hooper just because I think he's going to get more involved this year, but I think Julius Thomas is a safer bet.
We know Julius Thomas. We know him in this offense. We know Jay Cutler loves throwing to the tight end, so that gives him a bump for me. And Austin Hooper is in his second year with a new offensive coordinator, which is kind of scary to me. So yeah, I would much prefer Julius Thomas here. CJ, what are your thoughts?
Julius Thomas.
Julius Thomas. Could you sound any mopier, CJ? All right, Julius Thomas is on our team. Dak Prescott, Tyler Lockett, Deontay Foreman, Giovanni Bernard, Kendall Wright, Deion Lewis, Kenny Stills. We are now in the 14th round. We have Matthew Stafford, the Vikings defense, the Cardinals defense, Eli Manning, the Patriots defense, Alvin Kamara, and the Panthers defense. So we can get our pick of the litter at kicker, or we can grab a defense. What would you guys like to do?
Justin Tucker or Baltimore Ravens defense.
I would happily draft Tucker here to make sure we get him.
Yeah, let's take Tucker.
He's going to get a lot of long kicks, and the Ravens look like they might be there because I think most teams have already drafted a defense.
I was looking at either. I'm sorry, I was looking at either Tucker or the Giants. So I'm fine with Tucker.
All right, let's go for a guy who's going to probably kick multiple 50-yarders, and if your league gives bonus points for that, that's exciting. The Rams defense, the Giants defense, Kenny Golladay, Detroit Lions, there's a sleeper. He went the Jags defense, Steven Gostkowski at the top of the 15th, Matt Bryant, Stephen Hoshka, Mason Crosby. So the kickers are going. Defenses that are available, the Steelers, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Chargers are the top defenses. Where would you guys like to go here? I, too, would love to get my Ravens.
Unfortunately, it looks like the Ravens are the best team left.
I will second that, and CJ suggested it at the beginning, so let's do that. So our team, which is a C- ranking, which means we did really good because we weren't following the top 200 as it was listed. You should never draft off the top 200, by the way. We've gotten a couple questions in about that, like what do you prefer, individual number rankings, tiering, or drafting off top 200 lists? They're like, oh, it's the best player available. No, that's team specific. Don't do it. So our team is Phillip Rivers, Marshawn Lynch and Joe Mixon. We have Odell Beckham Jr. and Allen Robinson. In our flex, we have Michael Crabtree. We have Julius Thomas, Justin Tucker, Ravens defense. On our bench, we have Paul Perkins, Eddie Lacy, Rex Burkhead, Joe Williams. A ton of upside there. And then at wide receiver on our bench, we have Larry Fitzgerald and John Brown. So, guys, how are you feeling about this team?
outside of a couple pieces, this team is good.
I'd be happy to take this into the season. Yeah. I mean, again, we kind of forsake some of the sure things at running back for a lot of upside, but I mean, we have solid wide receivers to pick up the difference. I love our late round quarterback and tight end. This is a good team, and if certain things break our way and certain players stay healthy, this could be a top scoring team in the league, I think. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, I mean, like you said, top PPR back. This is a standard league, of course, but he had the most catches last year, maybe not the most targets, but the most catches. Michael Crabtree plays that same role, so we can have a more sure thing to mix in with our high ceiling players. I like this team. Yeah, I guess that'll do it for us. So with that, let's get out of here, guys. Make sure you guys tune in on Friday when we will be doing a quote My Guys episode. Now, what this is, we're going to be telling you all the players that we are overly in love with and that we are going to be trying in most of our leagues to acquire by any means necessary. So, it's a lot of fun. And also, if you're listening to the show, it is Tuesday. If you're in our listener league, you guys better do what, Jason?
Bring it.
Wow, that was so delayed. All right, so that was way less climactic than I was hoping for. They bring it on. Our draft is tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we will be putting that on YouTube as well. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the show wherever you are listening. iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, the works. Follow us on Twitter at the FF Fanatics, or individually, I'm at G Palmer FFF. CJ's at CJ Hickman 89. Jason is at Jason Cabrera 13, or give us a follow on Facebook. And we're going to move into our Patreon show where we're going to be talking our consensus IDP rankings. So that should be a lot of fun, something that we love to talk about and would love to do more of on this show. So if you like IDP, we talk about it a lot more over on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. So any parting thoughts before we sign off, guys?
I'm ready for the draft tomorrow.
Great. Good luck in all your drafts, except for the people I'm drafting against.
And by tomorrow, of course, you mean tonight, CJ.
Yeah, tonight. Well, today, actually.
Today. Well, I mean, it's tonight. It's 10 p.m. It's not during the day. But I get your point. All right, we're just excited. Let's get out of here, everyone. Take care. Have a great week. We will see you tonight if you're drafting against us. If not, on the Patreon show. And if not, we'll see you on Friday. We're all over the place. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Life in the fast lane. Moving at the speed of life, and I can't slow down. Only got a gallon in the gas tank, but I'm almost at the finish line, so I